Every single person in this world has a story to share. Your story is your superpower, and it's unique to you. In sharing it with the world, you can impact millions of people. If you keep it to yourself, you are doing the world a disservice. This is Della. I'm the host of Della's Voice, and I help you share your superpower with the world.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Della's Voice Sunday Live Talk Show. I am blessed to have this platform where I can bring you amazing stories of incredible people who have changed their own lives. They have taken control and they have taken the responsibility necessary to rise above their struggles. And they're here to tell their stories. They're here to tell you how they overcame, they built, they rebuilt, they reset, they reframed. And today they're impacting the world in amazing ways. This person today, I'm very excited for. I've waited a couple of weeks because I wanted to make sure we get this out to as many people as possible. When I reached out to this next guest, it was a long shot. I wasn't sure if she was going to accept or not, but she did with a lot of grace. And I'm so happy because her story is going to blow your mind away. And it's going to let you know that sky is the limit, that you have all these opportunities, that everything is possible. And I can't wait for us to hear her story. Just a little bit about our guest. But first, I want to invite you to please share this talk with your loved ones because you just never know who might need this inspiration today. And by sharing, you can touch a lot of lives and you allow us to spread this message. So please do share. And also give us lots of likes and leave us comments and your questions so that you can make this as interactive as possible for our guest. So, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Natalie Harris. Natalie is a counselor with the city of Barrie. She didn't always start there. There's a long story behind this. A little bit about Natalie's bio. So she found her way into politics after having played a role in the royal assent of Ontario's PTSD bill and Canada's PTSD bill. She's a retired Advanced Care Paramedic, and she has received Exemplary Service Award for this role that she played. She is also a graduate from the Health Sciences from Victoria University, for which she also received Outstanding Achievement Award. I see a pattern here. I feel like she achieves, this woman. She's an educator with a few different organizations. She has written several books, one of which is Save My Life School, which is a first responders mental health journey, which I can't wait to talk about this. It's really, really important that we talk about this. Now, she's also a blogger with the Huffington Post. She's an entrepreneur. She has actually started so many different things, one of which is a peer support group called Wings of Change, which offers meetings across Canada. She's a co-founder and president of the non-for-profit Brainstorm Revolution. She's also the creator of Addition Get Well cards. She's a speaker who has spoken on countless stages. She doesn't shy away from speaking on her journey of addiction and PTSD, which makes her really, really, really special in my book, because it's when you share your experience and your life story is when you impact the world the most. So she's a Bell Let's Talk ambassador, and also a recipient of several other awards. One is John Graves Simcoe Medal of Honor. She's also received the Temaconter Memorial Resiliency Award, and also the One Woman Fearless Woman Award in 2018. But she says her proudest accomplishment in life is being a mom and a Grammy. So this woman does wear a lot of different hats, and she wears them well. And I can't wait to learn from her. And so, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome on Della's Voice, the amazing Natalie Harris. Hello and welcome.
Hi, Della. How are you?
Excellent. Excellent, Natalie. Thank you so much for giving us your time today.
My pleasure. Really, it's my pleasure.
How was it hearing me say all these things about you?
You know, as you were saying that, I was thinking about it. It's a great question, because when you said, "Oh, this woman achieves," so those words mean a couple of different things to me. First of all, like I recognize that, like I definitely have always strived to be the best I can be. If I put my mind to something, I need to be, I need to excel in it. But that was something that brought me a lot of struggle when I was younger as well. So I was a perfectionist, and I didn't really know how to not be that much of a high achiever. So as I've gotten older, I'm very grateful, obviously, for all the experiences and all the beautiful awards and people saying kind things about me. But if I look back on it, I've learned a lot through my years how to balance what I'm trying to achieve with my health and putting me first and my recovery first. And that wasn't the way. I put everyone else first for a very long time. And then those accolades kind of came through that. So it was a weird kind of a paradox in my mind, where I'm like, well, I'm not really getting as well as I possibly could be. I'm helping everyone else. So how do I help me? And just see where that goes. So I'm grateful. Thank you for the beautiful introduction. But it's interesting when you say it and you read it out, because you don't really hear that very often. And you go back in time, and I remember those moments, and it's just a good reminder of how far I've come, I guess. Yeah.
Amazing. And you have come a long, long way. You have had a lot of ups and downs in your life, Natalie, and you talk about it, and you talk about it so effortlessly, and so willingly. Why?
Yeah, a lot of my friends, well, my best friend that I write about in my book, Save My Life School, her name's AB, she says that I'm full disclosure. And I giggle, because I think I used to not be. And again, that was really an awakening for me. So prior to being diagnosed with PTSD, and that diagnosis came in 2014, I was hidden behind this wall of perfection, and the last thing I wanted anyone to know is something was wrong with me or I was struggling. I didn't want to admit I was struggling with addiction, or I didn't really even know what PTSD was to that extent back then as well. So I would just hide and put another mask over what I thought would maybe show, oh, there's not perfection. What does that mean? What does that look like? Heaven forbid, Natalie isn't a perfect person and she's not this perfect advanced care paramedic. She's a human being, heaven forbid. So I, starting about talking about things, came really organically. I was speaking with my friend and my boyfriend at the time about how I was so tired of hiding. And there was a episode on TV, it might have been on the news, and it was Bell Let's Talk during, I guess it was in 2014. And I saw our 6-time Olympian, Canadian Olympian, Clara Hughes. She's an amazing spokesperson for that.
She also forwarded your book, right?
Yeah, she wrote the foreword to my book. Yeah, she's amazing, an amazing inspiration. So, and I obviously didn't know her back then, and I heard this 6-time Olympian, sharing that she was in so much pain and she was struggling, and I thought, oh my God, there was just this amazing eye-opening for me that I'm human and she's human, and if she can be sick, then anyone can be sick. So I said to my girlfriend and my boyfriend at the time, my best friend and my boyfriend at the time, I'm going to start a blog. And I had no idea even how to make a blog. I didn't know what to do. And I just kind of felt like I was so tired of living behind this mask. And I didn't know what the mask would look like when I took it off. I didn't know where it would lead me, but I posted, which is my first little post in my book. It's like a paragraph of a blog that I'm here to share who I am. It's going to be really raw and very real. And I learned about myself with everyone who read my blog. So it was it was a beautiful journey that at first I was so vulnerable. I felt so exposed. I regretted what I was doing. How could I, oh my God, now what do I do? I can't take this back. But as time kept going, kind of how you promote telling your story on your show, it became more beautiful. And I got to meet so many people and travel, like you said, all over Canada and share my story. And it's been hard to share, but the more you share it, the easier it is. And that's why now I'm full disclosure, because this pretty much just rolls off my mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of healing in sharing your story, right?
Yeah.
And so what was that first paragraph like? Who was that Natalie that in that first paragraph compared to who she is today? How would you change that paragraph today?
How would I write a paragraph today? It would be so different. Yeah. The paragraph, the difference back then was, that paragraph was for me. And I was sharing it with the world because I felt like then I couldn't hide anymore. It was like I had to make it so there was no turning back. Like if I was going to put this out there and show that this perfectionist mask was a mask, I had to do it the hardest way possible and make sure I couldn't go back. And then the journey kind of went from I was removing this mask for me to removing it for others. So, and then I was removing it only for others. So, and I had to really do a lot of self-reflection and like ego checks and really make sure no matter what that I stayed true to why I was writing this blog. And eventually, I would step away from it from time to time to make sure it was that I was focusing on me. But the girl or the woman that wrote that first paragraph was just scared and just really, I had no idea who I was. I had no idea because I had no idea what I looked like without that mask either. I was so used to putting it on. It was just like, that's who I was. So removing it, and then all of a sudden I see myself. Ugh, what is that? All the, bruises and battered, beating, like my soul is worn away. And And now, how do I feel those emotions when I've never been taught how to feel emotions? I've only been known how to cover it with alcohol and drugs. And now I'm going to treatment, so I need to not do that. It was a scary time. But the paragraph now would be, I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't change a single thing. Nothing. I am who I am today, and I love life. And I never thought I would say that. Like, I felt like I was an alien. I would say that to my friends. I didn't understand happiness. If happiness included achievement to me, okay, you had this degree on the wall or whatever, but that wasn't really bringing me happiness. So helping others and then learning that helped me was what brought me happiness, for sure. Yeah.
So good. There's so much there. There's so much to go. Honestly, there's so much, and there's so much that I resonate with, and I'm sure a lot of people resonate with. The masks we wear, right, all the time, because we feel like we feel this need to be perfect and to look perfect to others, and we wear it for so long that we forget what it looks like on the inside.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I didn't know at all. It's like starting from scratch.
Yes,
Right.
yes. So, okay, so I want to go back, and this is just so if someone's listening to this and they find themselves there, and wondering, how do I do this? I'm too scared. How do I lift this mask? How do I do this? What would you say? What are some steps?
Yeah, that's a great question. I say, first and foremost, you don't have to write a worldwide public blog if you don't want to. That was, the way it worked for me. But if you do, sure, go ahead. But my recommendation, and I say this to my kids, and I say this for any goal in your life, even if it means realizing who you are, it takes time. Be patient with yourself. One of the biggest things I learned was, if I had these achievements that I wanted to attain, and we do that in our society, okay, I'm working towards my degree, I'm working towards my master's, I'm working to get this job, this position. We're always looking at, well, once we get there, then we're happy, right? Isn't that what that is? But I was missing the joy of the journey, like, completely. I was missing, wow, like, that's part of it. It's just 1% of the joy should come from when you receive that degree or get that job or have that family or whatever. It is the journey. So I say, just be patient with yourself and do it like 1% at a time. If that means that you say something just to yourself, or if you're comfortable enough to say something and share something with your friend, or maybe you are comfortable sharing something on social media. But I always give people the real world heads up that no matter what you share on social media, there will always be somebody that disagrees with you. So you can be kind and loving and generous and sweet, and not everyone will reciprocate that feeling. So especially these days with social media, maybe that's not the first thing I would jump to, but just share with whomever you feel comfortable with. And it doesn't need to be a lot. It really doesn't. And see how that feels. And then maybe you can, like, oh, if that little crack of the mask is off and I can breathe, it's a weird feeling. I have like oxygen now. What does that mean? It becomes intriguing, and hopefully organically you'll just want to take the mask off all the way eventually. But just be patient.
You're so right. When I started sharing with other people my own journey, what happened was that because I was open, other people started opening up to me.
Yeah.
And so I realized that a big part of the reason why I stuck to this was because I was finding that I was helping other people, allowing them to share and heal at the same time.
Yeah.
So when you first came out with this blog and started writing about the things that were in your heart, what were some things that you were noticing?
Oh dear. Oh, so many things. I was noticing how my mask was affecting my kids a lot. I was noticing how I thought that hiding my emotions and my feelings meant that I looked like a stronger mother and a stronger partner, friend, everything. When it's the opposite. Our kids are so they see everything. They know everything. Um, it made them more worried when I wouldn't talk about what I was feeling because they had to guess and then they would catastrophize and, is mom this sick or whatever, versus if I was having a bad day, I learned how to share with them. I'm having a bad day. Like this is what's going on. Maybe I'm going to be napping a lot today or whatever, or I can't do something. And they go about their day. I would hear them kind of downstairs and being happy and good. And I was like, oh, wow. So if I just don't hide and be honest, they aren't listening at the door, hoping mom's okay. They know I'm okay. I just shared my emotions. So that was a huge awakening. I thought, you needed to be this mother who was, doing everything and all at once and all by myself because that's all I ever knew how to do.
The face, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. I never asked for help. I was the helper. I was the helper. So, as I went along, there was just so many things that I realized I was just overlooking in life because I was painting this image of myself that was just exhausting. Exhausting. Yeah. It was really fun to see who I became. I didn't know who I would be. I didn't want to be alive back then. I was obsessed with suicide. I was so sick. Everything was a very big, it was so hard to be alive, if that makes sense. It was very hard.
I know about that part of your journey, actually. So recently you were on a platform where they took your story and they made a song.
Oh, yes. That's amazing. Yeah.
So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So it's TELUS, I think they put money into stories about caregivers. And this one was written by some amazing Canadian artists, some Juno Award winning artists. And like one, I think Biff Naked is part of the collaboration, another beautiful artist named Story. And they made this song out of an interview that I did. And man, it was pretty powerful to kind of see in a few minutes how much your life has changed. And then the best part for me was that they also involved my best friend, AB, or Amanda Barracliff. We call her AB. And it gave me an opportunity to truly share my gratitude towards her. We had drifted apart, and that happens a lot of times through trauma. Any kind of a relationship, whether it's an intimate relationship or friendship, family, space sometimes needs to happen, some healthy boundaries, and she needed to do that as well. And it was a great opportunity to be able to make sure she knew that she was my hero, is my hero. She saved me. She took me under her wing after I came home from treatment. Before I went to treatment, I lived with her for a long time, and she kept me safe. That's a pretty big mission, especially when I was so sick.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a beautiful experience, this song.
That's so nice, and I mean, what a great project to be involved with.
Yeah.
What is it like to watch yourself completely transform your life?
Yeah. Ooh, it's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. I feel happier every day. Like, and then those aren't just words. I don't use those words lightly because I've had relapses and I know that I will, and I know that mental wellness and addiction recovery is a lifelong battle. But when the moments are good, I actually feel them versus I was trying to feel them before, but it was just covered with a lot of PTSD symptoms as well that I had no idea why I was experiencing them. now I know how to manage them and they're not as bad. So that's great. And I'm in a different world, a different role. I'm not around that trauma anymore as a paramedic. So it's amazing. Literally, I just never thought there was happiness. I say that to people. I was saying that to, I'm dating someone right now, and I was trying to explain that to him, and he's like, what do you mean? I can think of 20 or 30 things that come at me right now that I've experienced that bring me joy in my life. And I'm like, don't get me wrong, of course, having my kids and family and all that, but there was so much struggle around those things as well that I've never really felt happiness until, the last year or so. It's weird.
Um, what is it that blinds us to everything that we should be thankful for? Because you're right, there is at any moment of time. I mean, if you look around you right now, you can come up with 100 things, but there are those moments when we are just so blinded to seeing anything that can go right. So, what do you think it is? What do you think?
I think for me, and for a lot of people that I've spoken to over the years, it's that we have trauma that's not addressed. So, addiction is rampant, and there's a lot of hardships right now happening in our world and everywhere and in our communities now with COVID and all the things that we've never really experienced in our society to this level in our generation. It really, it makes us have these traumatic experiences that we block and we don't want to feel. We don't want to feel those emotions. And when I grew up, I wasn't taught how to feel emotions. That wasn't part of that generation. It was, stop crying or I'll give you something to cry about.
Yeah.
Stop
crying.
Stop crying. Stop crying. I'm crying because I'm sad. And you're like, well, I'll make you cry. I'm like, I don't understand what that means. I don't want to cry. Like, so versus listening to your emotions and feeling them and having permission to feel them. So for me, that was, so the trauma and mental illness. So there could be different layers of obviously what's maybe preventing you, even if you're trying and you can't just gratitude journal your way out of trauma. Like there's no, that's not, and no, it's just not that you can't say the serenity prayer every day and you're better. There's work that you need to do. And that's what I've done. And acceptance of the roller coaster. So for me personally, I can speak to that. I mean, with my mental illness and my PTSD symptoms, I've learned how to address them. And some of the things I do is take medication. I also have specialized earplugs because I'm so sensitive to sounds a lot of times. Not as much as when I was really sick in 2012 or in that time, but so I've learned. So I wouldn't be able to go out. We don't go to the mall anymore anyways, but like I couldn't go grocery shopping. I couldn't go anywhere that there was any ambient noise. It was just too sensory overload for me. And so that really played a role in feeling happiness for sure. Yeah, it's just, I guess, I don't know. I think there's also a lot to be said about accepting that life is hard. Like, I mean, no matter what, I'm happy in this stage of my life. But, the other day I had a bad day. Like, it was a crappy day with some other things. But the difference between that bad day versus 7 years ago bad day was, and I was really actually quite aware of it, was I didn't catastrophize like I would have. I didn't run to drugs and alcohol. I didn't run away from a situation that was really presenting me with some challenges of what should I do. I used the tools that I've learned through my recovery, playing the tape to the end. What does it mean if I'm just, going to go out and self-sabotage? Because that's what I would do. I didn't know any other option. So kind of just build as best as possible a really great support team around you, and let the feelings, feel the feelings.
Feel the feeling.
It sucks sometimes. It really does. But they pass. They really do. If I would have learned that when I was younger, but they really, really suck sometimes. Like, let's face it, there's some massive traumas that our human minds go through. And it hurts. It hurts to go through it, but you can make it through.
So you said something so important. Feel the feeling, and I wanna go there for a moment, because that, again, that's good. Like going back to our childhood. Stop crying. Stop crying.
Yeah.
So feeling the feeling means what exactly, Natalie? Like, what does that mean? Walk us through that, and so we can get a grasp of it.
Well, my friend AB taught me this even before I went to treatment. She would, like, I'm very much like, okay, I think I know what I need to do, and I just do it. Like, I'm like, oh, this is it, this is it. She would say, Natalie, percolate for 3 days. And I don't know why I'm holding my lip gloss, but anyway.
Just in
I feel
case.
like sometimes I'm always holding a pen, council, like I'm holding onto a lip gloss. Anyways, yeah, no, percolate on it was a big thing. She's like, wait 3 days. It's kind of like the 24-hour rule when you're going to not send a mean email sort of thing. That time that you actually give yourself really does let you feel those emotions. So, like I said the other day, I had this experience where the old me would have just like ran away from whatever emotion I was feeling because I didn't like it, and cover it up with just crappy stuff that was going to have really bad consequences, that would have a ripple effect that I never used to think of. So now I play the tape to the end and I think about the consequences that I know very well. I've had many stays in the emergency department and the mental health unit because I just didn't think things through. And now it's you're, I'll be in it. I'm like, you're just in it. Like you feel it. You're like, I know that this is going to pass. It would really be nice to just be able to do this or do this and not feel it, but just go and do your day. And it's kind of a really cool thing because the universe, for me, now that I'm experiencing that, gives you this reward, this like amazing awakening of an experience where you're like, wow, I made it through that, and I I've learned A, B, and C that I wouldn't have learned if I didn't feel that. If I didn't manage through those emotions over the last whatever days, I wouldn't know this now, which is such an amazing, beautiful thing that I could be proud of, or I could share, or could whatever. Because I just would have covered it up and then had like so much that I needed to repair after I destroyed lots of work I had already done because I just didn't want to feel it. I was so tired of feeling things that hurt. Yeah.
So I'm assuming with you being in politics, there's sometimes where you have to go through these ups and downs of right, the resistance and push and pull. I can't pretend to know what it's like because I don't have that experience. But you have been the councilor for the city of Barrie for how long now?
3. We're going into, I guess, almost into 4 years. Yeah, 3 and a bit years. Yeah.
So I read something about so this nonprofit initiative that you started called the Get Well cards.
Oh, Addiction Get Well card?
Yes. So Addiction Get Well card. And so there was some resistance to that.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, what would you do, Della, if
Okay.
your heart was in this thing and you came out of with this idea of let me spread love and joy, and people took it the wrong way?
Right. What would you do?
What would you do? What would you do? That hurts. That hurts because you want people to see where it's coming from. And you want them to agree with you. You want them to see it and agree with you. But you can't make everyone agree with you. And I think at some point you're like, screw it. And you're like, okay, fine, I give up. But you don't. You don't.
I've thought of it lots of times. No, absolutely. Oh dear, it's a hard. When I went in city council and I ran, I thought, okay, I enjoy a good debate. I like having my son and I are opposite ends of the political spectrum. You wouldn't even think that he was my son. So And we would, when you went to school, we would have these amazing conversations, and that's what they were, right? They were, you can call them debates, but they were, kind and caring and intriguing conversations about opposite ways of thinking. And he would teach me things and I would teach him things, and it was really fun. So, and I know politics obviously isn't like the drive to school with my son and I, but I still always liked that. I always did that with my dad as well. We enjoyed like having those conversations. So I ran. I had no idea if I would win, obviously, and really gave it my all and campaigned for about 6 months, and I was fortunate to win. So when I thought, okay, I'm just I'll learn things. This is gonna be great. At that time, I was the only female on city council, so I was the only. So there's 11 of us, and I was the only female, and so there's a lot of attention on that at first, and then it seemed to be that a negativity that was headed towards city council, with respect to like the opioid crisis and stuff like that I was voicing. It was really aimed at me, and some of the other male city councilors as well would be like, we're saying this too. Like, why is Natalie getting all this hate on social media? And then the Addiction Get Well cards was really hard because I was working so hard behind the scenes on getting a women's treatment center in Barrie, and it was like many things in government is behind the scenes. There's so many policies, procedures, so many things to go through. It wasn't public knowledge, and it couldn't be yet. And people that I used to work with actually were the main people who posted really mean things on social media, calling me the arts and crafts counselor, and that all I was doing was making these cards, and it was just for show and what have you. And it really hurt. And I am a sensitive person, and I'm learning that no matter what. I'm 44 years old, and I'm very sensitive still, but I'm also tough. Like, I'm strong. I can get through it. But to have your integrity attacked is different. That was really hard. So I rallied around my support systems that I have here at home and on city council. I have lots of wonderful, amazing colleagues that helped me through some really difficult times and stuck up for me. And no matter what, like I said, the sensitive side of me wanted to just hide under a rock, like, for sure. I'm like, oh my God, I can't say anything. Like, there's so much work happening. Like, we're doing so much, and I wish they could see that. And it always seems to be the people that, come and help me, like, join me. What? I don't really see them doing anything. So it would be frustrating when I'm like, Natalie, simmer down. Don't say anything mean back. But people are easy and really, they're quick to judge. So it was hard. That is something I've definitely realized in the last 3 years is people will have their opinions, and all I can do is the next right thing. And I've learned that in my treatment all this time, and keep my side of the road clean. And I have no control over what other people think. And I don't comment back anymore as much or try to explain myself like, oh, but it's this doesn't matter. They aren't there to really even hear
that's really good. That's really
Yeah.
good. That's really good. So in a way, you are feeling the feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've stuck it out. A lot of tears behind the scenes along the way because doesn't matter how many tattoos I have on my body. I've a pretty sensitive heart, and I want people to like me. I really do. And so when you sign up to be a city councilor, that's just not gonna happen all the time.
Yeah, it's true, right? It's true. And I mean, this is a totally different game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure it tests you all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. This is I want to ask you a question. Did when you thought of running for city council, did at any time at all the idea of with my background,
Right.
with
Ooh,
my
yeah.
mental health, with my addiction history, who's gonna want to vote for me?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you know what? That was actually something that was intriguing to me. It was like my own social experiment. I started running in the heat of summer, and I first would wear a jacket. I was like, see, I have a lot of tattoos. I have
Yeah.
2 sleeves. And I'm pretty, I don't hide them ever before. But I started and I would wear like a jacket over, and I was sweating. I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore. And it was like the universe saying, take that jacket off. That's not, why are you covering that up? Why are you trying to make yourself something you're not? Show who you are. Say who you are. So it went from sweating in this jacket to here I am, a t-shirt covered in sweat because I'm walking around for hours and hours every day, and talking about who I was and saying this is who I am. And I'm a retired paramedic, and talked about legislation and talked about what I wanted to do with the community and how much addiction awareness and stigma. I just said it like it is, and I knew if it was meant to be that I was elected, I was meant to be. And I think looking back now, especially when I took that jacket off, which is kind of like a mask, I had more compliments about just standing in front of them as who I was than anybody who said, well, I won't vote for you because you have tattoos, which there were a few, but that's okay. the majority, I was like, all right, okay, what else? I don't know what else to say. Have a good day. But the majority was like, yeah, good for you. You're just kind of being who you are and saying who you are. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm sick and tired of not being who I am. I was already way past hiding something.
Yeah.
So I just am who I am now. Yeah.
There's nothing more attractive than standing as who you are and being proud of who you are, right? That is really, really attractive, and that's the stuff leaders are made of. Real, true leaders, right?
Thank you.
And unfortunately, we see a lot of fake, and unfortunately, we do see a lot of people who aren't who they really are on camera, off camera, totally different people, in public, in their homes, totally different people, and and you're not. You're like the same person. I mean, I've seen your posts on social media, like you show your tattoos. You're running around and with your kids, and like you're playing in the snow, and you're jump roping, and it's like so.
Yeah.
You are who you are. So what is your take on this? What is your take on people who wear masks because they want to be in politics, or they wear masks because they want to accomplish something, and they want that fame and that spotlight? What would you say to that?
Oh, I feel like it's so exhausting. Don't if like you have to be you. People are gonna figure it out eventually.
Yes.
The mask falls off. It gets like worn and battered and torn and sweaty and gross. Like, just be who you are. But I get it. I get the fear. I get it. I know the retaliation of being who I am, full disclosure, thinking, I think that's kind, I think that's nice, and really getting attacked because of that. And going, oh, it would be so much safer and more comfortable underneath that jacket outside and the mask. And it's like, no, it isn't. It really isn't. For those moments, those brief moments that might still last for a couple days of feeling pretty crappy about how someone thinks something of you that isn't true, it'll be old news in a couple days. It's old news. So like it will be in the media. It'll be the news picked it up that all this hate's headed towards me. It's all old news now, and I don't want to cover that back up anymore. And it's way too much work. So I just think that unfortunately, a lot of times I see people that aren't doing it maliciously. They just haven't felt what it's like to not have a mask on. They're just buckled into their jacket, walking around, covering their tattoos, and they're like, well, I can't do that. That's just going to ruin everything. But it really isn't. It's going to show and divide maybe people that had different perspectives of who you are. But I'd rather someone just have the perspective of who I am. And if you don't like me, then I guess it's maybe kind of a blessing that you're saying that you don't like me, because now I know you're not hiding it.
Oh yeah.
And it's old news really soon. So just be like, as best as you can, be who you are. And just know in your mind, like, no, it is impossible that not everyone is going to like me. It doesn't matter. It's like 100% a guarantee that anything that you do, there's someone out there that doesn't like Mother Teresa. Guaranteed. Like, what? What are you talking about, right? Like, it's the truth. So just be you. Why? Like, wearing that jacket was a symbol of what I thought I needed to do to be successful, and it was actually hindering me. So who knows if you take that jacket off and march around your community just being who you are, what you'll learn about yourself and what you'll learn about your community. It's a different perspective. It's pretty cool.
I love it. So someone might be watching this and think, oh, I wish I could, be in politics, or I could be in the public eye. But my background story is pretty shady.
We're all shady. There's shady. Right? Like, really? I mean, I just got used to standing on a stage and sharing my story for like a couple of years. So that was easy for me to take the jacket off in a couple of days. So like, I feel it's easy for me to say, let's face it, right? But I get it. Like, just you don't have to be all tattoos out right away, but just show who you are. It's funny. My brother, I have 3 brothers, but my one brother, Ross, is covered in tattoos. So him and I really have a passion about the art of tattooing, and he's a very successful real estate agent. So, but if he's in a suit, you would not know. Like literally. So I think it was last year, he had a tattoo that actually peeked out from his sleeve. And that was a huge choice for him. And literally, if he's wearing swimming and we're outside, his legs, his back, his body, like his whole body's covered in tattoos, and you wouldn't know. And so think about that, like for someone who's so confident and comfortable in his skin, to put art all over it. But it was still a big mission for him to just have this one anchor that kind of came out from his sleeve, for fear of what will that mean. And it actually works in his advantage, because he's just who he is. There's no hiding who he is. People know he's covered in tattoos now, and that doesn't matter. That's who he is. But the stigma behind what people think from an image, I think as we get into society and social media is more open and we're able to be more public about who we are, it's more accepting. But just have that tattoo peek out first, and see how it feels. It's so much better.
I love it. And you're right. With social media now today, I mean, we're seeing this more and more. It's a beautiful thing, Natalie. It's a beautiful thing to see people coming out of their shells and really expressing themselves, and trying things for the first time, public speaking, being in front of the camera, showing off what they're capable of. It's such a beautiful thing, and people are being really creative, and it's just an amazing era. I think it's the COVID blessing. This is that's what this is.
I was saying to my boyfriend the other day, there's actually and people will be like, what are you talking about? There's blessings. There are some amazing blessings that have actually come from this, honestly. And
what are they? Tell me.
And that's definitely being able to just have time to yourself, like things that I never had time for before, even just family things that were, you have to be here at this time, swimming, karate, da 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 da. Now, okay, it's not happening, so you make time doing other things. So I bought this little camping stove, and we're going to start going winter camping, and we just lit up the camping stove last night outside, and we're sitting there going, this would never have happened otherwise. We'd be ready to like just have another work day tomorrow or do whatever. And it's been an amazing time for people to be with themselves and to have the ability to voice who they are as they're discovering that. That's kind of what Brainstorm Revolution is about. The not-for-profit that we started and the book we wrote is kind of like what you're doing, giving people opportunities to share their stories One really great example, if I have a second to share.
Oh, you do. We still have 10 more minutes.
Okay, great. We have this really amazing young lady. Her name is Zoe. And so I do talks, not anymore right now because of COVID, but I would do them all the time. And we'd go into schools and just share about mental health and PTSD and addiction. So I was sharing one day about my experiences, and I could tell, and she was in grade 11, I think. I could tell that she was, it was affecting her in some way. And she mentioned at one point that and I can say this because she's written about it publicly, like this isn't, breaking any confidentiality. She said, I disagree that, people should call 911 if you're sick. I was sick and my friend called 911 on me and I'm really mad. And I said to her, maybe we can chat after class or whatever. And maybe we can talk about how your friend called 911 for you and not on you. And that we had this great conversation, and she wrote a story for the book. And it's Zoe Raffi, and you could Google her because she's been in the news and she's traveled around to share her story. She's in recovery from some mental illnesses that she's been battling with, and she's that voice. So she struggled with eating disorders for a very long time, and she's still very public and inspires young women and about this. And that's been that opportunity and social media has given her that for sure. It's amazing.
Yeah. For sure. I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. So Zoe Raffi, I'm going to look her up. Maybe I can interview her sometimes on this.
You should, yes. Yeah, she's wonderful.
So let's say hello to some viewers, shall we? So I'm going to start from, Sarah. Sarah says, peace be upon you. Strong women will build a strong society. Lori says, good morning. Sarah's, Babak says, hello, Della and Natalie. And we have Farnak, and she says hello in Farsi. And Farida's here and says hello. Ziba's here, says hello. Debbie is here as well. And Steve Weber says, I like Natalie's awareness of the unique opportunity COVID has given us to slow down and try new things. Steve Weber is another fantastic. He's a podcast host with his own show, and he's amazing. I've been on his show. Steve, he is a fabulous individual for you to interview on your show. A true leader. Natalie, what is next for you? What is it that you see as the ideal scene for you?
Oh yeah, you know what? A lot of this has to do with what COVID's kind of presented me with, to be honest. Just some time alone, and some time feeling whatever comes along. I feel like growing up for most of my life, subduing emotions and feelings, you have to play catch up with it. So I'm kind of looking forward to it because, like I said, I have so many examples of if you can push through those really difficult emotions and not mask them with something, you really do get some amazing gifts from this universe. You really do, like stuff that I never would have imagined or had an opportunity to see and learn and grow from. So that's what's next, I think, for me, and just kind of trucking along and seeing my family when I can. But, doing, in the meantime, starting little stoves on the side of a house right now and planning winter camping where it's just quiet and peaceful and just feeling whatever emotions come, which I never thought I would say in my entire life. Yeah.
As you grow and as you, I call it recover because that's what I did. I recovered, and you look back and honestly, it feels like a long journey, but at the same time, it feels like, oh, this was so obvious. Why didn't I see it then?
Yeah, totally. Ego. That's my final reason why for me. I didn't want to seem weak. I didn't want to seem that I couldn't accomplish something. I didn't want to admit that I couldn't be a paramedic on the road anymore. The couldn't part meant failure versus maybe the couldn't equals change and growth in a different world and a different perspective. And that's why I teach my kids, like, don't commit yourself to one profession. Don't, like, just go on the path, put your foot on the path and see where it goes. Don't limit yourself. And if somehow something takes like a veer to the right or the left, that's not bad. That's not failure. It's just time to change. So go with it. And I never knew that before. Yeah.
How do you start your day, Natalie?
Oh, coffee.
Me too.
Yeah. Honestly, really, snuggling some fur baby that's usually in the bed. I definitely love animals. Yeah, just kind of, and I used to never really be a morning person. I'm not really in love with being a morning person, but now that I don't pass out, or like I actually sleep and my PTSD doesn't give me night terrors anymore, and those things have been addressed. Yeah, I just love waking up and taking my time to have my coffee and then get ready to go deliver Amazon packages, because that's what I'm doing every day, and it's so fun.
Side hustle.
What's that?
Side hustle.
It's my side hustle, and I love it. But you know what, though? My ego before would have hid that. I would have thought, does that equal success? Well, to me, in my bank account, it equals success. So it's no one else's business, and I love it, and I embrace that opportunity that came because of COVID, actually. And yeah, that's my morning. I love it. A lot of coffee.
This is great. I love this. Okay, people are going to be watching this, and I want you to take what Natalie just said, because a lot of us we do shy away from doing stuff, like because it might look bad, or it might look like
it's not
against, not cool, not
yeah.
Okay, Natalie Harris is
Yeah.
a counselor with the city of Barrie. She is a mom. She's a grandma.
Yeah.
She has tattoos. She wears them well. I saw the butterfly tattoo. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks. I have quite a few butterflies, actually.
I love butterflies too.
Thanks.
She delivers Amazon packages, and she makes camping in her backyard look fun. and honestly, you're so much joy, Natalie.
Aww,
So much joy.
So
And I wish you the very best. I think we can use more leaders like you.
Thank you.
Leaders with hearts, who come into politics because they want to accomplish good. This is not a selfish act. You're here because you want to do something, because you want to affect people. You want to impact.
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
And so I wish more people like you would show up in politics. I wish more women would show up in politics. And so if you had a word of advice to anyone watching this, what would it be regarding anything?
Yeah. It's a really good question, and I get asked that all the time, and usually I have a really good answer. It just depends on the day. If you're watching this, I would say just be, especially during this time with COVID and everything being so unknown. So for example, I went to Newmarket, a city near me, the other day, and they have these amazingly beautiful constructed bus stations, and there's millions and millions of dollars, and the buses are running and there's no one at the bus stops. So I'm thinking 10 years ago, there was no way that City of Newmarket thought that these amazing high-tech bus stops were never going to be used. So why are we going to get so hunkered down and fixated on what 10 years is going to be? So why is it that we have to be busting everything to get to a pension that then what? We don't know what tomorrow brings. So really go out on that campaign trail, and you will be blown away with the things that you learn and the growth that you'll be able to have just by putting yourself on that path. You don't need to know the outcome. That's kind of the fun part. And let it take you where it takes you. Why not? We don't know. If we really thought we knew what this world was going to look like in 2021, I'm telling you, we obviously didn't even 2 years ago. Why would we be sticking to what our 10-year plan is right now? Just do what makes you happy, what your family, it makes your family happy. And if it's ugly, and that's beautiful. I don't know. That something that can feel really bad and ugly, and getting rid of something that's buried deep down inside of you can just bring such beauty to your life. I never knew what happiness was. I can tell you that 100%. I obsessed every day with dying. And I don't know, I can't even replicate that feeling in my mind anymore. I know I felt it. I read it. I read my words. I know I felt it. But it's gone because I actually just live each day, one day at a time.
One day at a time, Natalie. Yeah. One day at a time. That's the only way to live.
The only way.
Yeah.
The only way.
That's it. Well, Natalie Harris, thank you so very much for being here. It was amazing to hear your story. I wish you the very best. How can people get in touch with you if they want to buy your book? If they want to just get in touch with you and pick your brain, how can they?
Sure. Yeah. So you can find me on most social media and then just the actual word, just Nat Harris. I used to be paramedic Nat, and I've transitioned. I'm just Nat Harris. That's kind of a big awakening for me this year. But my book, Save My Life Schools, anywhere you can find books. So I have it here just to look at.
Yeah, show us that book.
So I'm always turning it the wrong way. That's a selfie.
Yeah, it's bizarre on here.
It's the wrong way, right? But yeah, so Save My Life School. Yeah, you can find it anywhere books are sold. And Kindle, Kobo, all those things. But you can also go to my blog, which it's a really long name, paramedicnatsmentalhealthjourney.com. See, I told you I had no idea how to write a blog back then. Like, who writes a blog? That's the most ridiculous website name. Anyhow, so if you type in paramedic Nat, it'll probably pop up, and then you can find how to find me on that website.
Awesome. Well, I want to ask you for a favor to please type all of those things after we're done the show in the comment section so that people can find you. You're pretty easy to find. I mean, I had no trouble finding you on the social media, and you're very, very easy to connect with. So I want to thank you, Natalie. I wish you the very best. I can't tell you how proud it makes me to have this conversation with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you shine and thrive and impact the world just like you have been. And thank you again for being here.
You as well. Thank you, Della.
And for everyone who's been watching us, I want to thank you for giving us your hour today. And I hope you found this talk useful. I hope it inspired you just as much as it inspired me. And if you found it inspiring, please share it with other people. Until next time, this has been Della's voice, hoping to spark your soul. Have a blessed day, everybody.